The reality of it is what there is to discover in terms of what presence is like. And when I say that, I'm not saying that what presence is like as an experience, because if I say what is presence like as an experience, then I'm being dualistic. I'm saying there's a you and then there's an experience of presence. So what presence is like in terms of being present, there is nothing more exciting than that. You see, but the mind will have it that anything is more exciting than that, right? Because one of the things we've been conditioned with and learned is that the fact of your existence is irrelevant, and that's why it's boring. Because the conditioning that we're exposed to has us be programmed in such a way that life is about getting somewhere. Life is about getting something. This is never it. It's always something else. We're going somewhere. You know, you're not. It's not enough to just be aware, right? As soon as you come into the conditioning of being identified with a name and a body and everything, now you're in a comparative world. So it's not enough to just be aware. Now it's am I as good as somebody else? Am I prettier or uglier than somebody else? Am I smarter or not as smart as somebody else? Once you're in that conditioned world, to just exist is irrelevant. So what? That's the way the conditioning plays. Oh yeah, all right, I'm here. So what? So you're dumbed out of the excitement of existence itself. You're dumbed out of it. Because now the experience, now to be awareness is something that is now put aside. It's put aside because that's not relevant. To be a person becomes what's relevant, and then the game is on, from there on. It's really a tricky thing, because the system that gets created through conditioning is so complete, and part of that system is that you exist in the system. You exist in the system. And so the system is a closed system that you exist in, and therefore the existence of the system, because you're in the system, becomes paramount and paramount in terms of its survival. From the systematic viewpoint, from the programming, it looks as though if the programming doesn't exist, that there is nothing, right? That's the closed system way of the program. When in fact, it's actually the opposite. If the system doesn't exist, or if the system exists as a system, then there is everything, not nothing. It's the opposite. But the programming has us be so completely identified with the body and with the material world and with the idea that we're separated from each other and from the world, that it's so complete that even when you hear about the possibility of the truth, the mind will understand it like a possibility, but it's handicapped to be it. It will try to be it. It's because it's like a stupid program. It will try to be it. It'll meditate to be it. It will get a guru to be it. It'll go to India to be it. It'll read books to be it. And then it'll complain that it's not being it. What am I doing wrong? Tell me what I have to do. What's the secret? Maybe psychedelic drugs will do it. Maybe if I go into a year-long retreat, it'll do it, and so forth and so on. I heard today somebody said to a Zen master, I've meditated for 10 years. and I'm not enlightened. What should I do? And the Zen teacher said, meditate for 10 more. When the mind hears that, right? When the mind hears that, it's like, what the hell? Right? When the mind hears that, it's like, what the hell? What does he mean? Where will this end? Why should I meditate for 10 more years if I already meditated 10 years and it didn't make any difference, right? Why would he say that? That would be so frustrating, to be told that, right? That's because you're not getting the intention of the answer. And the intention of the answer is, if you haven't gotten it from meditating 10 more years, and you're stupid enough to meditate 10 more, go ahead and do it. Because remember, you're there already. If you're there already, and you spent 10 years meditating to get there, and you're complaining because you're not there, do another 10 years. See, this is the thing. It's not about whether you're enlightened. It's not about whether you're present. It's not about whether you're awareness. That's a done deal. That's a fact. But the programming that the mind is can't register in that program. Because the programming that the mind is a time-oriented program. It's a completely conditioned program. So when you put that input into it, it processes it and turns it into in time. It processes it and turns it into, it's not true now. Do you understand? Even if I say to you, you are already what you are. There's nothing you need to do. You hear it. This is interesting to consider. You hear it, but if you really pay attention, when it goes in your ears, the brain processes it and then has it come out the other end of the process, but that's not who I am. So tell me what to do. That's the only way the machine knows how to do it, because it isn't true that you have to use the mind to be what you are. Why would that be the case if you're already what you are? You don't have to use anything to be what you are. You're already what you are. This is why attention is such an important aspect of the practices, to develop your ability to stop having your attention being taken by the program and identified with the program. Because when your attention is taken and identified with the program, you're the program. That's it. You're being the program. So the expression of being enlightened, the expression of being what you already are, is not to continually conceive of it as an experience. That's number one mistake. Not to continually conceive of it as an experience. And there's a lot of teachers that perpetrate that notion. This whole business of, well, can you tell us what it was like when you woke up? What was your enlightenment experience, right? Any teacher that answers that question and describes it is really helping to sell you water at the river, right? Because no matter what the experience was that they described, that's not it. That can't be it, because an experience, by definition, has a beginning and an end. And what you are does not have a beginning and an end. It's always there. It was there before they had that experience. And the experience ended, and it's still there. I'm not sure I understand why they don't make that clear, unless maybe they're confused and they think that they did have a wake-up experience. I don't know. But I can tell you it's completely irrelevant. That's completely irrelevant. You may have, and most people do in the course of their lives, have these experiences of freedom or these experiences of getting high or blissed or whatever the case may be, right? But all that is an experience that happens at some point due to some circumstance in which the cloud cover kind of clears up enough for the light to come through, right? And because you're not used to it, it's intense, right? It feels exhilarating and so forth, right? But you can guarantee that the cloud cover will come back, and it always does. So that's not what it is to be what you are. To be what you are means to recognize the fact that the programming that you've identified with will continue to run. The only difference is you're aware of it. That's all. The only difference is you're still going to be crazy, right? But you're aware that you're crazy when you're being crazy. Instead of identifying with it, right, and trying to protect it, and trying to defend it, and trying to survive as it, and trying to get out of it, and struggling with it, right? You just realize that you're crazy. And of course, because you're aware that you're crazy, the possibility not to act consistent with the craziness becomes possible. That's all. The possibility of acting not consistent with the craziness becomes possible. And if you don't act consistent with the craziness, the clouds clear up. Because the clouds are the craziness, and the crazier you're being, the more disturbance there is in the sky, right? The crazier you're being, the more bad weather there is. The crazier you're being, the more storms come in the sky. But no matter how crazy the program is being, if you see it for what it is, and you don't identify with it, and you don't act consistent with it, the clouds start to break up, and the light shines through. If you see things for what they are, you stop buying fool's gold. If you see things for what they are, you stop trying to get things that can't be had. You stop trying to control what can't be controlled. And then what happens is this whole business, then you realize that the experience of your existence itself is more interesting and more exciting and more exhilarating and more fulfilling than anything that could happen. And that's what has been being ignored all along. And when that stops being ignored, you're happy, you're at peace, and you're having fun, and you can be crazy too. You know, the difficulty with this is that the way the program is, the way the brain is programmed, the way the mind is programmed, when this kind of information goes in, it can't process it. It can't process it because it can't accept the idea that the most fulfilling, exciting, exhilarating, that everything that's possible to be fulfilled as a human being in a human life is already here. The mind and the brain cannot accept that that's the case. It's too conditioned that you're going somewhere. Isn't it the case? I mean, if you look at your experience of your life, isn't it the case that your life is going somewhere? Right? It's been somewhere and it's going somewhere. Because right? If you know that the idea of, if you see it for what it is, if you know that the idea that fulfillment is in the future, if you know that that's fool's gold, if you know that's not true, right, then you can still have goals in the future. You just don't look to get anything out of that. You just don't think that's going to be an answer anymore. But you're still in this drama, you're still in this world, you're still in this game, you're still in time. So you still go, you still do the stuff, right? But you're not seeking to get from what you're doing, You're not seeking to get from the script, you're not seeking to get from the story the fulfillment that it cannot give you. You know, you're fulfilled already, and then you do the story. That's why these things are spoken of so often in terms of letting go or surrendering, right? Because it is a matter of fact that there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to get. It's already the case. If you really let that sink in, then you should be paying attention to the ongoing, right? If you really get that that's the case, then you should be paying attention to the ongoing identifying with the story, the ongoing believing in that reality. Noticing the ongoing believing in that reality. You know, noticing, see, here's the thing. You know, Paul says you can't get out of something you're not in, right? Another way of saying that is, if you're noticing that you're being a character in the system, you're not in the system. The system can still be there, the character can still be there, the script you play can still be playing, right? But at the same time that's happening, you know that that's not, you know that the reality that is no more true and real than an actor playing a role in a play in terms of its actual effects. That's why the metaphor that Rupert uses about John Smith and King Lear is such a good metaphor. Because in reality, in reality, most human beings are stuck in King Lear. They're stuck in King Lear, right? But if you see clearly and you get the truth that you're really John Smith, you can still play King Lear, but now you can have fun. Even if it's tragic, you can still have fun. It's possible to choose other roles, and you may not be able to at certain points, but even if you're not able to and you know that it's a role, you're not stuck. And it'll clean itself up. Because if you're stuck in a role and you know it's a role and it's costing you, it's having negative consequences, right? You will naturally, over time, let it go. Because you won't, because of the awareness of what's going on, you won't want to continue to perpetuate the negative consequences. That's how karma works. You know, it's like I say, if you have this stinging sensation in your face and you don't know what it is, and you look in the mirror and you realize you're slapping yourself in the face, it'll probably clear up. So I'm saying, you'll probably stop. And that's what awareness is about. When you're aware, you're seeing what's really happening. If you're seeing what's really happening, you don't have to continue to do the same stuff. Okay, so I welcome you to show up again here for your next 10 years of meditation.